Hello, welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. I'm your host,
Thank
Dane
you.
Waters, and
Thank you.
I am joined with Simon Tsipis here. Simon where are you, Simon? Are you in the Middle East, or where are you
Yeah,
actually?
I'm in Israel, yes.
In Israel? Well, it's an amazing country. Welcome. So, Simon, um, okay, let's get started. What is going on? To help us understand the new Gaza plan and what's going on, please.
The plan is to conquer and basically to annexate the Gaza Strip. And I think, in my opinion, eventually making it Israeli territory. But it will be done by step, slowly. It will be process which will take approximately between 4 and 6 years. First, there is a military operation to clean up the Gaza Strip from the Hamas militants. There are a lot of mines there that also must be cleaned. All this territory will be. It is already partly demolished during this conflict for more than 1.5 years. I think it will be completely demolished and rebuilt. And as we heard from Donald Trump, he is planning to make it a Middle East Riviera. Now, eventually, he will give it to Israel. So Israel will have this as their own sovereign territory. But first, the plan is which was actually voted yesterday in Israeli parliament, is to occupy, absolutely, total occupation of the Gaza Strip, which will begin in few days now, and eventually in few years from now, if nothing happens, if nothing drastically happens within the internal politics and state of Israel, this territory probably will be annexed and become a territory of the state of Israel.
Well, as we all know, that's a huge change globally. Well, let me ask this question. Based on what they said, I mean, one of the justifications for the Netanyahu administration is that this would force the final release of the rest of the hostages. So even if the rest of the hostages, which many people say there's only like 24 still alive, but regardless of the number, even if the rest of the hostages are released, would Israel change their mind, or would they still occupy Gaza?
No, this was exactly this argument for few weeks now. Serious conflict, internal struggle between the left and the right. The left is demanding to stop the operation, to release all the hostages, and to come to a deal with Hamas. And all was the main conflict was about the terms and conditions of this peace agreement. Hamas is demanding to stop completely the operation for 5 years. Now, in the chief of staff of Israeli military, they understand that after 5 years, we will have a new Hamas, and we will have once again we will have probably even worse attack than 7th of October 2023. So now the right side, the radical right, they are pushing not to go to any agreement with Hamas, continue with the operation even if we have to pay the price of not returning the 27 or 28 hostages, probably of whom some of them are already not alive. Now, let's put it this way. You just began by saying that this decision changing the whole picture. The picture of the whole Middle East, not only the state of Israel, but the whole Middle East, was already changed in the morning of 7th of October 2023. Now, there are two states of Israel now, the Israel before the attack and Israel after the attack. So there are already two Middle Easts now. There is a Middle East before and Middle East after. Let's analyze for a second what happened since the 7th of October and because of this event. We have the fall of Assad regime in Syria. We have Lebanon, which is at the brink of failing state. We have Yemeni Houthi, which are attacking, and we now have a U.S. military operation against the Houthis. We had two missile strikes, Iranian missile strikes on Israel and 2 Israeli attacks against Iran. The whole Middle East now is going through a transformation, a huge transformation. And all of this because one single event, 7th of October, the mass atrocities of the Israeli citizens, and this Middle East will never be as we know it.
Listen, I agree. October 7th was heinous. I agree. I understand that. It changed the Middle East. I know a lot of people in Lebanon and Syria and Israel. I mean, I've lived in the Middle East, so I fully understand the change and what's happening. And I still think there'll be additional changes in Syria. I think there'll be changes in Iran. I think this is growing. But let's get back to the very specific thing of the Palestinians. Okay, I don't take a position on either side, so just to be very clear about that. But we still have, 1.8 million Palestinians. You're going to occupy the Gaza Strip. You're going to eventually annex it. Just out of curiosity, where are the Palestinians going to go? No country wants them. No one wants to take them. So what's going to happen? You occupy, you annex it. Where do they go?
Okay, let's put it in the order. There are 2 Palestinians. There are 2 enclaves of Palestinians. Okay, it's not one single.
There are West Bank and Gaza.
West Bank and Gaza. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we are speaking only about the Gaza. We are not talking about the bank. By the way, bank in 1994 they actually recognized the state of Israel, and there was the Oslo Accords, which eventually, even when there was the leader of this Palestinian autonomy was Yasser Arafat, they recognized Israel. So we had some kind of a peace agreement between this side of Palestinians. But when Hamas took over the Gaza Strip, now this became the sole and the only problem with the Palestinians. Now, the second thing which must be recognized and it's very important, many people don't even realize it, that the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, they are hostages of the Hamas. Because Hamas actually took hostage 2.5 million of Palestinians which live in Gaza Strip. They use it as a human shield. They use it against the Israeli military. They actually take men, even sometimes women, from these citizens to include it in their
I understand that, Simon. I get that. I want to know. I understand all the politics of and we can really get into it if you want to, about why is there divided government between Gaza and the West Bank? We can talk about, was that orchestrated? Was it not? There's a whole host of things we can talk about. But I want to deal with the present. You talk about the past and the present. Let's deal with the present. What is going to happen to the Palestinians that are now in Gaza when they occupy it? I mean, that's a big, huge question because, they're not allowed to leave. No country wants them. The agreement is to push them to the south. What's going to happen? What is the long-term plan for these Palestinians in the Gaza, not the West Bank, in the Gaza? What's the long-term plan?
I understand. There are 3 main scenarios. One scenario is turn them into refugees, so they will run away. They already almost a third of them already ran away. They are now settled in the Sinai Peninsula on the Egyptian territory. So what is Donald Trump's plan is to negotiate with Jordan, with Egypt, with other Arab and Muslim countries to take some part of these Palestinians. It's not a big amount. Comparing to almost 11 million since the 2011, which left the Middle East, it's not a big amount. So
it is a big amount. Simon, it is a big amount. I want to say this. 1.5 million people is a lot of people. And there's a lot of people. And so you just can't just say to Jordan, take them in, because that destabilizes their government. It destabilizes the Egyptian government. It destabilizes other governments. So I understand. So forget the 11 million that have left. I want to deal with the 1.5 million that are there now. Okay, so let's say Donald Trump, which is weird that he's going to negotiate on behalf of Israel, that to get rid of them. But what else happens to them? If the rest of the countries don't take them, where are they going to go?
One scenario is to expel them. The second scenario is to keep things as they are. The Hamas will continue to conduct terrorist attacks with Israel against Israel. With Israel does nothing with the Gaza Strip. We take out our military, and the things stay as they are. The third option, which is more the left than the right option, is to give these Palestinians If we take their territory, we give them Israeli citizenship. So they become Israeli citizens. In this case, Israel stops to being a Jewish state. It will be a state for both people, the Palestinians and the Jewish. So this is a radical left agenda, and the radical right agenda is to expel them completely from the Gaza Strip.
So where do we find the compromise? Because this has been going on since for too much.
This is one. This is the most important question. This is the question which the Israeli politics are dealing with at this very moment as we speak. Who will win this struggle, the left or the right? Because for the right, if we go with the left agenda, it will be finished. I mean, there will be no more Israel. The Israel will not be a Jewish state no more. So, but the left agenda is that if we go the left agenda, we take the left agenda, there the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will end. Eventually, will end forever.
Well, listen, I don't think they're going to get citizenship, because if you give the Palestinians in Gaza citizenship, then the people in the West Bank are going to want citizenship. So I just don't ever see that happening from a very practical standpoint. And I agree. It's just, but this is where so let me ask you this question: do you believe that the potential two-state solution is dead? That's never going to happen.
No, I believe it can happen, but the only problem is how can you make a two-state solution without a territory for the second state, the Palestinian state? There is no territory.
Well, you got the West Bank. You got the West Bank.
The West Bank is so small that it barely holds now 1.5 million. If we add to this the 2.5 million from Gaza Strip, and if we add to this Palestinian refugees, according to the law of return, which will want to return from the whole world to their newly established Palestinian state, there will be no place to hold 8 or 9 million Palestinians. That will be a problem.
It is, and I fully. I worked with Ehud Barak when he was Prime Minister of Israel. Okay, I did. I've worked in the region. I worked on the peace process there for 20-something years, 30 years now. It's a situation that I'm very well aware of. And
there is one more option to make it not a two-state solution, but one state for two people solution, for two nations. Now, again, we are coming back to this scenario that the Israel will continue being a big, strong country for two people, but it won't be Jewish state.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that the current government or any successive governments are going to agree to that. And I just don't see that ever happening either.
As long as this government in power, everything can happen.
No, I know, and it's once again, ever since the creation of the Jewish state, this has been an ongoing issue. Was it for 80 years now?
Absolutely.
Over 80 years.
77 years.
77 years. I'm from Alabama. I can't do the math, so you have to help me with the math.
Yeah, yesterday we had this Independence Day. It's 77 years, State of Israel.
So but let me ask you this: would you consider? These are some tough questions. I only got a couple of minutes here. Do you believe that do you believe that every Palestinian in Gaza is Hamas? Or do you believe that Hamas and the Palestinians who live in the Gaza are separate and different?
I don't think that all the citizens of Gaza Strip are absolutely and indefinitely Hamas fighters. As I said, most of the citizens are the hostages of the Hamas. Hamas uses its own citizens to fight Israel. And it is already been recognized by the chief of staff and by the Israeli government that there are citizens which we have to separate from the Hamas in order to eliminate the Hamas. This is the main problem for the Israeli military.
Do you believe that people who stand up and fight for Palestinians in Gaza are anti-Semitic?
Most of them, yes, because they fight, because they hate Israel, they hate Jews, they hate the Jewish state. But the other part of them, they don't care about Jews, they don't care about Israel. We have the bank, which has recognized Israel as a Jewish state. So apparently we have Palestinians, a huge amount of Palestinians which live in the West Bank, which have no problem with Jews. They just want to have their own state. But in the Gaza Strip, the indoctrination with violence from the Hamas is so strong that they actually compel the citizens to hate Israel and to hate Jews. So the hatred for Jews goes first, and independence goes second.
Well, but once again, I've got a lot of Jewish friends. I got Palestinian friends. I got friends all over the world, and actually some people I know here in London. You know, as you know, there's been a lot of protests or in support of the Palestinians in London. And my friends, they're very strong Israel, but they also are not happy with what's happening in Gaza. That doesn't make them anti-Semitic. So I just want to personally make that very clear that just because you support Palestinians does not mean that you're anti-Semitic, number one. But number two, what do you think? I mean, I don't know. What do you think is the long? Let me ask you this about Bibi. Well, no, let me ask you this other question. I'm sorry, running out of time here. How do you feel about the number of casualties of women and children in Gaza? Do you think that it's justifiable? I don't know, what's the number? 60,000, 50,000? I don't know what the number is anymore. It's in the tens of thousands. Do you think that number is justified based upon what's happened?
I don't think it's justified, but I also know that the Israeli IDF has a huge problem by eliminating the Hamas fighters because they use their own people as a human shield. So this makes this operation very, very complicated. This is one of the reasons why almost for 2 years now, since the terrorist attack of 7th of October, we are not capable of eliminating all the Hamas fighters because they are inside a very densely populated territory, and they use their own citizens, including women and including children. They use their schools, they use their hospitals, kindergarten to fight Israel, to put their weapons, to put their rockets on these basements. So this is a huge problem. Every time you have a civil war, you have a problem with the citizens' casualties.
Well, I know that. I mean, once again, I've been in war zones all over the world. I mean, I've worked in war zones all over the world, and war is heinous. There's no doubt about it. There are no winners in war. We can get down to it. But when women and children are dying, it's a very sad scenario.
Absolutely.
No matter what. And it's very heinous for any military to use women and children as human shields. But
what I can say that IDF does not kill the citizens in purpose. This all of this, if we can say it, it's a casualties, but which caused mistakenly by both sides, which are actually doing this military operation in a very densely populated territory. This is, by the way, the Gaza Strip is one of the most densely populated territories in the world now. You cannot surgically make any operations. This is why the Israeli government actually calls for the citizens to leave Gaza, to give time for IDF to make their job and then come back.
Listen, I think that there are mistakes on both sides. I'm just going to say that, okay? So war is hell. There's no doubt about it. People are going to die.
Absolutely.
But I think mistakes have happened on both sides. But let me ask this one last question before we go. A lot of people argue that we ended up with October 7th because of the Israeli government's clear intention to divide the governments between the West Bank and Gaza to keep them separated. That if they were unified, it would be a greater chance of a two-state solution. How would you respond to that?
Well, we have to turn into some history because the West Bank and Gaza Strip, they were supposed to be one territory for one nation.
We got 30 seconds, sadly, Simon. I asked you a long question.
If it was not for Hamas taking over the Gaza Strip, we would probably already have a Palestinian state.
Yeah, well, that's what I agree to. I agree with that as well. Listen, Simon, I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm sorry I had to be so fast-paced.
My pleasure.
But I appreciate it, and I hope to have you on the show again in the future. Anyway, thanks for joining Dane Waters with Around the World with Dane Waters, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
See you. Thank you.
What we've always maintained is that the never Trump. I'll bring it down to the Syria.
Lagos has become one of the largest exporters of elite ivory in the world.
Live in a third world nation where your votes will get stolen if you can vote there at all.